Hi everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell, and welcome to Moscow. And today I thought we should go along to the World Food Expo here in Moscow. I'm here at Krasnogorsk Expo Center, just on the outskirts of Moscow, really not too far from the center of the city. And I thought we should go and have a look at food and drinks and see what's happening in the world of food here in Russia right now in 2024. So I need to head on inside, get myself my lanyard and go check it out. Up on the sign on the building here, this is the 33rd International Food and Drink Expo. And this is Krasnogorsk Expo Center. I think, unfortunately, a lot of people know this from recent events that happened here nearby. This is a huge territory. There is actually an aquarium here, a hotel. There is about 20 expo halls that run the whole way down this main building here. And then there's a huge shopping center like you've never seen before also here. We've come to see World Food. I did actually come to this event, I think, 2 years ago. I'm not sure if it's exactly the same one or not. They do hold a lot of food expos in Russia with different themes, and this one is about world food, so I imagine there's a lot of companies that are coming from other parts of the world to Russia to sell their goods and wares. So let's get on inside. So it's just a matter of me grabbing my lanyard and then scanning it through the turnstiles, and then here we are. And there is a lot of things to see here, and literally hundreds and hundreds of booths with different companies and different brands, and probably from different parts of the world as well. So I'm going to have a bit of a walk around, and I'll take you along with me and see what we can find. I really am very interested what I'll see here at this event today, and where the different products are from and what they're offering and serving. There's always a very big mix of products and types of foods that they have at these events. And it's always very busy. There's not the general public that comes to these. This is more wholesalers, people that own shops, businesses, supermarkets, and they're looking to import products into Russia and find new suppliers of products that aren't already here. I'm not sure if you can tell from me holding the camera up a little bit higher just how many companies are here and how many thousands of people are here. Even just from the amount of people that were outside when I arrived, there is a lot of people that have come to this event and perhaps looking just to eat some food, find some food, try some different food. I'm not sure. As I'm walking around, I think it might be nearly impossible to cover every single booth that's here, because there's such a wide variety of companies and different things that they're offering. So there are some very small businesses that have products, and then there's even companies here that do the labeling for brands. And then there's companies that do things like production of tomatoes. This is a Turkish company. Turkish tomatoes. Wow, I never knew it was a thing. So there is quite a lot of different Chinese companies here, and they have different types of noodles and basically these pot noodles, and also chips and a lot of sweets. And I always find it's very potluck what the different flavors are. But there are so many different types of food that we've just never heard of. I mean, me living in Russia, it's a whole experience. And then, you know, living in Australia, we don't see anything like this on the shelves in the supermarkets. I think, of course, our language knowledge is not very good, but luckily we can figure it out from the pictures. So you've got cucumber flavored chips, and then pork flavor, and then there's a few different types of chicken flavored ones as well. And I just had one of these, like, cheese puffs. It's the best way I can describe it. And they were very nice. Perhaps sunflower seeds are your thing. And they've got a whole stand here with different sunflower seeds. And you can literally just grab some. I'm not too sure how it works. Or you can end up getting wooed by one of these ladies into buying some sunflowers. And they've got so many different sizes and types. Please let me know in the comments if you're a sunflower seed eater. I just find these just too difficult to enjoy, and there's too much work that goes into eating them. So far as I've walked around, I've seen pretty much only Turkish and Chinese brands. Now there is some Russian companies here as well. Obviously they want to try to cross over with the branding, so maybe send Russian goods to other countries and bring Turkish and Chinese items here to Russia. And there is just stand after stand of items, and there is so much to try to understand as you walk around. There's so many different stands, and as I'm walking around, it's really interesting to see what they're doing or what they're selling. And there's a company here with products from Thailand, and these gentlemen here are importers of Thai products into Russia, and they're trying to find resellers of the products and all different types of items, and of course instant noodles as well. We all love these. So there's quite a lot of different stands and different types of foods here, and there's a lot of health food stands with different types of bars and different things that are meant to be good for you, if that's such a thing. And this one called Shock, which I've not heard of before. If anybody knows about this brand, let me know in the comments if you can. It's really interesting when you walk around and you discover these small booths, and a lot of them have samples on the tables, and I'm always a little bit cheeky to go up and sample one of the snacks on the counter here. And this company here is called BKK, and there's not a lot of branding around it. However, they make salty snacks and these dry snacks. I think a lot of people know these rings here in Russia. And the company is from Donetsk. And of course, there's a few challenges going on in that region right now. And this company's been in operation for 75 years. So if you're from Russia, let me know in the comments if you know this company, and perhaps you know this brand of snacks, and whether you've had some before. They are very tasty, and just the fact they've been around 75 years. Now there is so many companies here as I've walked around, and the amount of Chinese companies that are literally surrounding these guys, and just such friendly people. And I like to give a shout out to them if they're watching the video, and just for being so nice and welcoming and being so interested in my channel and talking about food here in Russia. So as I'm walking around, there is of course a lot of temptation to stop at every stand and try to understand what product they have and what they're selling. And you know, I really, for me, have more interest in talking to some of the people and learning a little bit about the company that they have and what they're selling. And I'm not a buyer for any company. I don't have really a lot of influence on the brands, but where I can promote or talk about something a little bit more, of course I'm going to do that in a video like this, because there's so many different booths to see and look at and, you know, walk around. And I hope this is interesting as I'm showing this, and just the sheer amount of people here as well. perhaps finally I'm finding some other countries of products here, and they have one from Iran, and they don't really have anything on display food-wise. However, they're a dried fruit or fruit manufacturer, I think. There's dates right here, all the way from Iran. And they're showing on the video here the factory and the manufacturing process. I'm wondering where everybody's watching from around the world, if they're used to getting Easter eggs or Easter bunnies at Easter time. And this particular company here makes different versions of them in different shapes. They've got one here that's in the shape of a phone and some bears. And they have a whole company made up of different edible chocolate items in different shapes. And the only ones that I really know is at Easter time. And then here in Russia, they also have them with Ded Moroz, who is essentially Father Christmas. But how cool is this? So I've been walking around for quite some time, and I come across some different stands. And in a lot of supermarkets in Russia, they've got pay-by-weight candy and different sweets and chocolates. And I've talked about this a lot in my videos. And depending on where you go, you might also get the sour candy as well. And one of the ladies here gave me this pack of different candies in a container. And I really want to just say thank you for being so kind and explaining about the company. It's based in Prem, and it's a Russian company. It's been around for a lot of years, and very nice to taste some of their candy and sweets and take some home later. I'm not sure in the current times that we're living in here in Russia that maybe the name of the company is hugely appropriate. I won't even say the words. I know how much YouTube doesn't like certain words and certain things being spoken about. However, they've got lots of health food items, energy drinks, cookies, and lots of different snacks. What do you think of the name of the company? Let me know in the comments. Along with the hundreds and hundreds of food companies, there's got to be the companies that produce the items to put the food in. And check this out, there's a company right here, and this gentleman has been standing here for hours on end smiling, and he's selling the lids for containers of all things. Now, would you ever imagine that was a company somewhere in the world that sells just the lids for packaging? In my endeavor to show you the whole complete package of this expo, there is a company here that's just got the cans and all sorts of different food cans and tins. And if you want to perhaps understand about canning food, this is where you'd come to. It looks like there's a meeting going on talking about the different types that you can get. So it's not all about food. There's got to be more to it, right? Who would have thought that there would be a can manufacturing company here? I think I've got about 3/4 of the way through this expo, and there is still hundreds and hundreds of stands to look at and check out. And there's another can manufacturer here, and they have just the lids, and I think mostly things that are related to tuna and different meats. So it's really interesting to find these companies here, which is beyond what you think a food expo would be about. I finally made it over to the last pavilion, and again there is probably about 400 or more vendors here, and lots of different types of food. I think the way they've got this set up is it's by food category. So as you walk around, you'll see different types of food from different regions and different parts of Russia, and then other countries as well. So there's a big section that's dedicated to Indian companies, Turkish companies, and then a lot with products from China as well. As I've been walking around, I've seen so many Chinese companies that I found something from Vietnam. Now I wonder if anybody recognizes these brands. They have Tiger energy drink and Camel beer. So perhaps if you know these brands, let me know. And they have lots of other juices and drinks as well. So perhaps they're a well-known brand in Vietnam. I haven't seen this in the stores in Moscow. So if anybody knows about it, let me know in the comments. So it turns out they actually have a whole section here from Vietnam and different products. There's some nuts and then some dried fruits. And they even have their own sriracha, or chili sauce, I think it's called. So they have something from every part of Vietnam and all the different brands and companies right here. There's also some different Indian companies here as well. And it looks like they've got different types of rice and some other items. Very interesting. There's a whole section of different Indian companies. So frozen food. There is one here with fresh fruits. So I imagine they're trying to find distribution here in Russia in some kind. And different seasonings and packaged sauce mixes and things for cooking. Wow. The second best cricket team in the whole world, and they're here in Moscow. Now we're getting to some other countries. They have some companies here from Tunisia. I feel like I'm watching the opening ceremony of the Olympics again, and all the countries coming by with their flag. I don't know very much about Tunisia as a country. However, they've got lots of different companies here. They've got dates and different types of dried fruits. This is super interesting. It looks like they've also got pasta as well. I thought just the Italians were famous for pasta. Maybe Tunisian pasta is also famous. Anybody has heard about products from this country, let me know. They've also got some master classes going on. And it looks like this one has some well-known Moscow-based chefs. And they're doing some cooking. And now I know where all the people are at the event today. They're all waiting eagerly for some sampling from one of the chefs right here. As I keep walking along, so we're going from Vietnam on one side, and then over here, they're nearby neighbors, Thailand. And they've got different companies here, and a lot of them are very small booths, and they're one product companies that are trying to find a market, hopefully here in Russia, or maybe some of the people from other countries have come to attend and are trying to find a market as well. Not too sure what food that I've had from Thailand before, beyond only having pad thai. Anybody knows any of the brands? Let me know. There is lots of normal supermarket type foods here, and lots of nuts. Of all the different stands that I've come across, I found the one with Australian items. And check it out, the big poster back there for Bundaberg. And they've got a few different types here of the Bundaberg ginger beer. They've also got Bickfords, and I've never heard of Aussie before, but I guess the word makes sense. And they've also got the macadamia oil as well, and all Australian products right here in Moscow. You would not believe it. Well, I guess I can show it to you right here. The famous Bundaberg brand, all the way from Queensland in Australia, is sitting on a shelf in Moscow. It's really amazing stopping to chat to some of the different people at these stands, and the one here from Uzbekistan was so interesting. The guys there and talking about the different candy that they have, and they had some popcorn that they actually import American corn to Uzbekistan, then they package and sell it domestically. And just so interesting to understand that they don't have corn farming that has good enough quality corn to make popcorn locally, that they import it. They also have here a lot of dried fruits as well, and different dried nuts, but super interesting. As I've been walking around, there's quite a lot of different fruit and vegetable suppliers from all sorts of different countries. And it's super interesting in Russia that every banana is from Ecuador. So no matter where you think every banana in Russia comes from, it all comes from one country. And they've got one display stand set up here. They don't even have a banana, quite literally here. And they've got a TV running, and there's one guy with his computer, and I wonder if this is the only importer, or perhaps there's others in Russia that bring the bananas from Ecuador to Russia. But he doesn't have to work so hard, knowing that every single banana comes from the same country. So this is interesting. I just noticed there's a stand here with products from Hungary. And I wasn't sure that Hungary is one of the friendly countries with Russia. However, they've got a fairly big stand here and display, and lots of different products. They've got some teas, they've got some wine. The guys wanted to take their bottle with them, and super interesting. Maybe Hungarian pizza? Is that a thing? Someone needs to let me know if that's correct. I thought the Italians were famous for pizza, not the Hungarians. But I just noticed this as I'm walking around, and they're really tucked away in the corner. But perhaps somebody might know some of the brands from Hungary before now. Let me know. This is what I need to get my YouTube videos on my channel much faster. I need something like this set up at home, where they've got the instant editing right here, and they've got a whole TV studio set up. And maybe this guy wants to come and make my videos for me and make it much quicker. Super interesting. So they're doing, I think, we produced interviews with some of the different people from the companies that are in attendance. Very interesting. Tucked away in the corner here, they've actually got a small company with caviar, and more specifically black caviar, which is the most sought after version. And I think perhaps they're looking for suppliers and resellers of caviar, and they've got these little fridges set up. So any supermarket you go to in Russia, they'll have these on a display somewhere, and then you can buy very typically either red caviar or black caviar. And then generally this is the most expensive version of it. So I think perhaps someone's doing a very big deal in it at the moment right here. You can see right there in the jar. All over the exhibition there is different Chinese companies and lots of different candy and snacks. And a lot of Western brands have manufacturing in China. So you'll see here, for instance, Nescafe, you'll see Coca-Cola, Monster Energy. And what they're trying to do is find markets here in Russia to sell the Western brands under Chinese companies and then import them here directly. So at that last stand where I was looking at the different Chinese products, the gentleman there was giving me like so many small snacks and gifts for me to take home. And I happened to have a bottle of Dobra Cola in my bag, and I thought it was only appropriate that I trade Russian cola for his Chinese cola. And I thought it was just such a nice thing to do. I was going to actually have that on my way home, but I think maybe he'll take that back to China and cherish it as a local gift from Russia. As I come towards the end of the video and try to find my way out, it's been really interesting walking around all the different stands and seeing some of the different companies. There's one here that just deals with the packaging of food, and then you've got some of the wholesalers of different nuts and dried fruits, and even things like teas as well. And then you've got different types of frozen foods also. You'd think the effort to import frozen items from as far away as China to Russia would be very complicated. Of course, Russia and China are neighbors, so it's not that difficult. It's just a matter of finding the market for these types of companies and finding a buyer who's willing to supply and sell them through their chain of supermarkets. There's a company here with olive oils, and just company after company, as far as the eye can see, selling and trading different types of foods. The Sea Snack of Korea. Looks like they've left a little bit early, but there is just so many Asian companies that are here represented as well. Now, there is definitely a market for it in Russia. And is there enough people who want goods from these different companies and countries? How about some olives? Plenty of olives as well. And then pickled vegetables. Not really my favorite thing. However, my wife loves that sort of thing. I think here they've also got some spray oils also. So you can see the amount of people here as I've walked around and how busy the place is, and the interest in foods and other countries' foods here in Russia. So as I make my way out of the World Food Expo, I really hope you found this video interesting and maybe a little bit enlightening about all of the food and different countries that are here trying to do business in Russia, or maybe with each other, I'm not sure. It's super interesting to meet a lot of the different vendors from different countries who aren't from Russia. So the people at the Turkish stands are from Turkey, from Uzbekistan, they're from there. They're not local people selling on their behalf. It's just an interesting thing to look at and try and understand, and the sheer size of these sorts of events and the amount of vendors here. I think perhaps 500 or 600 different stands between the different pavilions that I've walked around in. As I'm just walking out to the metro, they've actually got a Carl's Jr. American burger restaurant here, which is really very strange. They've actually got quite a few cafes in the Expo Center where most people come out and have lunch. But how strange is it that they've got Carl's Jr. of all the brands that they could put here, which is a very well-known American burger restaurant, and in this Expo Center. Has anybody had Carl's Jr. before? Okay, so I just noticed that in the corner of my eye, and I thought it was worth pointing out. The actual walk out of this place takes about 15 minutes from one end to the other. So I'm going to walk through quite a lot of the empty convention halls, because there's about 20 in total here. And I think today they're using around about 8 of them between 2 different events. So I really hope you've liked the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I've actually got a bag in my hand, so it's a little bit hard today to point and look at things. So if you want to join me on Telegram, click this link. You can join me over there on Telegram. And if you want to watch an old video, perhaps something you've not seen before, you can click the link over here and watch another video on the channel and keep traveling with Russell. Okay, everybody, I'm off on another adventure. Bye.